Mr. Pringle.
Present.
Mr. Mackey.
Present.
Mr. Barfoot.
Present.
Mr. Burley. Mr. McQueen.
Present.
Warden Halliday.
Present.
Ms. Patterson.
Present.
Mr. Hicks.
Here.
Ms. Clumpus.
Here.
Mr. Greenfield. Mr. Body sends his regrets. Mr. O'Leary.
Present.
Ms. Wright.
Here.
Ms. Fosbrook.
Present.
Mr. Woodbury.
Here.
Mr. McKean.
Present.
Ms. Ardell sends her regrets. Mr. Eccles.
Counted for.
Mr. Bell.
Present.
Thank you. Welcome, Brian. Today, everybody has a declaration of pecuniary interest. They can express it now or later on if the need arises. So we'll move into, I don't see any at this time, so we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes. Put on the floor that the minutes of County Council meeting, Committee of the Whole meeting dated July the 12th, 2018, and the resolutions contained therein be adopted as presented. Put that on the floor. Councilor Burley, Councilor Barfoot. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. The next put on the floor is that the County Council closed meeting minutes dated July the 12th, 2018 be adopted as provided to County Council. Put that on the floor. Councilor Bell, Councilor Woodbury, any discussion on those? See any motion, call the motion, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, so we've got a somewhat revised agenda based on some of the things that are happening in government of Ontario. So I think that first will be a report from our CAO on, or I assume it's CAO, on the long-term care management agreement, which we have been working on, but there's a verbal update on it. Thank you.
Council, are you fine if I speak from my chair? Yes? Thank you. All right. As per the minutes and your resolution 7318 from the last meeting, you had asked that staff bring back an agreement and a bylaw with regard to the managed services for long-term care. As part of the process of finalizing the managed services agreement, I spoke to the licensing branch at the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care and was advised that they're not going to be able to provide the necessary approval for the management services agreement as quickly as we'd hoped. I think past experience by Sienna was that, they've been able to turn these around quite quickly. Given the present circumstances at the province, we're somewhat delayed, and it may be several weeks or even months before they're able to provide that approval. So in order to keep things moving forward, I have a proposal for you that I will bring back that agreement, the managed services agreement. It's been through legal from both parties and everything. We'll bring that forward so that you have an opportunity to review it and answer any questions. If there were any changes that you want out of that discussion on August the 9th, we'll get those made, and then that agreement will go forward with the request for approval to the province so that that process can get moving forward. In the interim, I will also bring forward an amendment to the current consulting agreement that we have with Sienna. And that amended scope of work to the consulting agreement will reflect the bulk of the work that we anticipated Sienna undertaking with the managed services agreement. Until we execute a managed services agreement, Sienna will not be able to take over the responsibility for human resources or finance that we anticipate happening when all is said and done. But this will allow us to, begin the process of moving forward with accreditation and with all of the quality improvements that we recognize were necessary given the recommendations in the operational review. I don't know if there's anything else. The intent certainly is that we're moving into the new arrangement, that the financial arrangements with Sienna would be as we had discussed at the previous meeting and included in that report. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about that. Sienna will be here on August the 9th to answer any specific questions you have about either the amendment to the consulting agreement or the new managed services contract.
Any questions of the CEO? I think it's a good summary of where we stand at the present time. Okay, thank you for that. So August the 9th, we will have the contract license agreement. Okay. All right, the next one that's a hot item in our area is the community hub update that's required as we have a little bit of summer hiatus there at Blue Water School Board. Nothing seems to be moving. So, Kim, do you give us a verbal update on that?
Thank you. So Savannah took a call with the Ministry of Education last week, the staff from the Surplus Property Community Hub area. Recall that when we spoke about this last, we had been advised through the Blue Water Board that we might want to make application to that fair market value offset program. We were advised that that program is under review, so we don't have the highest degree of certainty around that we might want to have. We also spoke to the province with regard to the capital funding that we've received for the child care center that's proposed to go into the community hub. Ministry of Education was clear that we need to own the property in order to make use of those funds. So, you know, there's been a couple of conversations about leasing. We need to be in an ownership position. And that we have to have tendered the work or awarded to a service provider by March 1st of 2019 in order to make use of all of the funds that are available to us. So, in an effort to keep moving forward with both the long-term care issue as well as the community hub, there's a bylaw on the agenda a little later on here that we had legal prepare. And with your support, we'll keep moving forward with negotiations on all of these fronts, and specifically in this case with the Blue Water Board. And of course, as noted in the bylaw, I would be coming back to you with updates and such every step of the way. We've provided an in-camera on the agenda. If specific to the community hub discussion, we want to take another look at the negotiating strategy and thresholds, we can go in camera and do that now.
Okay, any discussions, any comments on that? Anybody wanting to go into? Yes, Councillor McKean.
Thank you, Warden Holiday. I guess my question would be, moving a little farther along in this particular, the council agenda, and going to 502918, if we get past, I guess it's tomorrow, actually, and authorizing the CAO to undertake some of this stuff, would this be one of the projects that you would be, if there was a fairly significant change in financial requirements, would this be something that you would be able to do on your own?
That's correct. That's the way the bylaw's been drafted.
Thank you.
That's the situation. Any other questions? All right, anybody? Obviously, no one's requesting going in closed session, so we'll pass on that. And so then the next.
Yeah, so to be clear then,
Yeah.
I will continue on as you've directed me previously. If there's a need to consider other information, I'll simply bring that back and we can have another conversation at that time. Okay?
I think it's clear that the CAO will keep us informed. Okay, the next item to be put on the floor is 5029-18. It's a bylaw to authorize the Chief Administrative Officer of the corporation to take action where necessary on certain acts during the lame duck period. Put that on the floor. Councillor Columbus, Councillor Wright. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor McKean.
Well, thank you, Warden Halliday. I guess that I have a bit of a problem with it in that, all the people around this table who were elected by the electors in Grey County, and to hand this off to the CAO after, and when we're could be in a potential lame duck situation is kind of concerning to me. So I think that, a consideration should be given to that anything that would come up in that would not be something that the CAO could do just because of that, great respect for the CAO. But after all, she's not elected, she was hired. So I think that I would have to vote against this. Thank you.
Are you proposing anything other than just comments?
There's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, okay, that's all. If any other, Councillor Barfoot.
Thanks, Mr. Warden. I guess I'm a little bit confused in the fact that I was under the understanding this is basically provincial legislation, that we have to do this. I know the lower tiers have all done, or at least we have done this at ours. The agreement we have with our staff is that if there was any decision made, it would come before council and with the explanation of that. So I guess I'm just looking for a little clarification on that from our staff here.
Madam CEO, do you want to make a?
If I can, certainly the bylaw as drafted states that the Chief Administrative Officer will report to council on any actions taken under the restrictions listed in Section 275 between nomination day and the commencement of the council term. I think it's critically important for me to state that I have absolutely no intention of acting independently and without due consideration and consultation with all of you. Your support for any actions taken prior to them being taken is critically important to me. I have no intention of acting independently. Certainly, this bylaw, as it's written, would provide me with that authority. I think it's up to myself and my own professional credibility and the trust that I want to have with you, that you have my word, that it's just how we're going to move forward is moving forward together. So I will be seeking always your support before any action is taken under this.
Thanks for that, Kim. And you do have some guidelines on the hub as to how far we can go. So, Councillor Wright.
Thank you very much. I have no problem with this at all. I know that, as the CEO has said, that there are guidelines that have to be followed, and I have complete faith. What I think is absolutely ridiculous is the 4-month period that we have to go through this lame duck period, and I think that we should be talking, at AMO, we should certainly be bringing this up to this government, that a 4-month lame duck period is absolutely ridiculous. And to have, as John has mentioned, we're all elected officials to do a job, and that absolutely leaves us without a job to do for 4 months. So to me, it seems that what we need to do is, Toronto rules don't fit everybody, and we need to make this government understand that they need to do something about this date, 27th of July, next election, so that there isn't a 4-month lame duck period. Because the problem right now is that half the people in this area don't even realize that if they want to run for election in October, they should have their name in by tomorrow. And it's created a lot of confusion. So anyway, I support the motion, but I think the reason that we have to do it is totally wrong.
Thank you for that comment. I think there's validity in that, certainly in that statement. Councillor Eccles.
So if we turn this bylaw down and went into lame duck tomorrow at 2:01, does that mean that the county council probably doesn't even need to meet? We can have a holiday from now right through until December 5th?
No. I think our clerk can comment on that. Lame duck is.
No.
Lame duck only has certain restrictions, and you know it, so. But with regard to major funds, we brought the doctor in to fix the lame duck. Yes, Councillor Fosbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. In addition to the comments that are already been made, I also noted that the wording is that the CAO will report to council on actions taken, and it sounds like the intent is that we would be updated as much as possible before actions are taken. But I also wanted to note that, you know, our lower tier passed a similar bylaw some months ago. And I'm a little disappointed that this, you know, could potentially kick in tomorrow. And there really isn't much time to consider, discuss, whatever the case may be. So I understand the importance of it. I certainly agree with Councillor Wright that, you know, somebody should ask the obvious question, which is
Why?
how ridiculous this is. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll call the vote on this bylaw. All in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, now is summertime, so there should be lots of good news and celebrations out there, starting on this side and going around. Councillor Patterson?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just want to let everybody know, this weekend is the Sights and Sounds Festival in Hanover, our 14th annual. We call it our block party, the biggest block party in the area. Lots of activities for all ages. We've got a pub crawl, a street dance, sidewalk sale, car and motorcycle show, an art show, and a soapbox derby, which is very well received by the young ones, and Keg and Cork Festival, and of course on Sunday, Caesar Sunday. We'd love to see you there this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anybody else moving along this? Oh, Councillor Greenfield.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. On Saturday, August 4th, over in the municipality Meaford, there's a rather unique celebration going to be held. It will take place primarily at St. Michael's Cemetery, which is on Possession 4 North, or better known as the Irish Block Road, north of the highway. It's to commemorate the St. Michael's Cemetery. St. Michael's Cemetery is a Catholic cemetery under the direction of St. Mary's Church here in town. That area of Irish Block was basically a Catholic community, which was a bit of a rarity over our way 100 years ago. Mass will be celebrated at 1:30 p.m. Bishop Crosby from the Hamilton Diocese is coming to conduct the Mass. The Knights of Columbus will be involved. There is an application form to fill out. This started as a fairly small gathering a few months ago. I think the numbers now are up to 500 trying to attend, so it has grown. After the ceremony at the cemetery, where the good folks up that way have raised money to build a new fence and tidy up this ancient cemetery plot, we'll be going back to the home of Michael and Jerry Trainer. Some of you will remember Michael from his days on the county council. And there will be some music there, and there will be a barbecue. And to top it all off, Michael has written a book about the neighborhood up there. So it's going to be a very special afternoon, and we're looking forward to it. And if you care to, if you get your name in on the list, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Well, thanks for that nice presentation. Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very much of a good news story and something that all of us should be very interested in and pleased and proud of, quite frankly. But yesterday at noon, Councillor O'Leary and I attended the Alpha Street area where the residents up there were putting on I'm going to call it a fair. I don't know what else to call it, but they had you recall a few meetings ago, we had a young woman by the name of Renee came and talked to us about poverty and about homes that were affordable and those things. So Renee is the coordinator up there. She was hired by the county to do the coordinating. And when we went up there, they had sessions of bike decorating for the kids, and they had karaoke, and they had the health unit was there with their Ride for Health program and their bicycle, and then there was two things going on in the community hall that our county provides one of the units for them the residents to use, and it was just a great time and a great opportunity, and I'm kind of sorry that the invitation didn't go out to all the county, because perhaps some of you might have come over to see what was going on. It was very exciting. We had staff from the county there helping out, and I know Anne Marie was there as well. But I wanted to talk to you about the survey that they sent out last year, and in 2017 they sent this survey out to the residents, and they got 22 respondents, and the questions were things you like about living in the neighborhood, hopes for the future, what needs to happen, and did you know, et cetera, et cetera. And the feedback was such that they went through the feedback and planned 2018 from the feedback that they got from 2017. And it was very, very positive. So in 2018 now, they're sending out this is the new survey that's going out. And one of the questions, the very last question is, do you have any hobbies, interests, skills, et cetera, that you'd be willing to share with others in the neighborhood? And the idea is to get as many of the neighborhood people involved in doing things such as cooking, classes, knitting, painting, computers, whatever else they have, to help out the rest of the neighbors in it. Anyway, I thought that you should know that this is what's going on up there. It's very valuable, and this is a county-sponsored living area, and we should be very proud of it. Thank you very much, and I have a phone call, sorry.
Thanks, Arlene. That was a good presentation and a good update, and we're in action here. Any other good news? Councillor Eccles.
Thank you. On August the 11th, giving you a lot of notice on this one, I think a couple of county staff have participated in the Colleen Lawrence Memorial Run, August the 11th. It was set up 12 years ago, I believe it was, for a young athlete in the Newstead area that was killed in a car accident on Highway. Siri's talking to me about it right now. And she was killed. It was ran for 10 years, and then 2 years ago it was taken over by West for Youth, mental health support group that has an office in Walkerton, but with all the mental health issues, especially what we've seen on the Danforth in Toronto this last week. This is a great fundraising opportunity. There's 300 participants, all kinds of other activities. There will be about 300 participants and about that many supporters behind all the runners and walkers. It's a 1K, 5K, and a 10K run walk. If you want to participate, go online, West for Youth annual run, I believe is what the website is. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Eccles. Do we have any more good news and celebrations that we want to share? Seeing none, then we thank you for that input. And we'll move on to the next item on this council meeting, which is an adjournment. Councillor McQueen and Councillor Patterson. My glasses are, I should know you without glasses. But anyhow, there we are. All in favor of adjournment? Thank you.